With the full release of Shatterline on Epic Games, the long-awaited single-player campaign was finally released. With rumors of the campaign dating back to April of this year, it's nice to finally see it in the game. So now that I've had a chance to play through the story and campaign in its entirety, I want to sort of give my thoughts on maybe what can be improved and also give like a preview to anyone who might consider purchasing the game. So let's start with a bit of a summary. So this is a single player experience, so you can't play with more than one person. You must be online to play this campaign, so it's not something you can download or play offline. You have to be on the servers, so it's server side. It's advertised at about 6 to 7 hours in length. I found it to be closer to like the 4.5 hour mark, and other people even told me they finished it 2 hours, 3 hours. So depending on how slow you go, it could be like 6 hours, but a typical playthrough would be about 4 hours, I would say. And for those of you that played Shatterline during early access, the campaign is a mix of episodes that were in the early access version, as well as some new episodes that were never released. The campaign is made of a total of 17 different parts, and some parts are shorter, so like 10 to 15 minutes, and some parts are longer, so like 30 to 45 minutes. So you do get a variety of lengths, and you can also replay the episodes at any time. So once you played one, you can go back and play it whenever you want. So now that you have a basic understanding of how it all works, let's get into what I consider the good parts, the bad parts, and the ugly parts of the campaign. And just to be nice, we'll start with the good. So the environments in this campaign are beautiful. There's many different places to explore. The graphics are incredible. You can put the settings on high if you have a decent enough GPU, which it is pretty well optimized, I must say. You can spend as much time as you want exploring the environments and everything they have to offer, and you'll have some pretty unique Easter eggs to discover while you're doing so.
Alright, these are Sullivan's last coordinates. Matey, what do we know about the area? Looks like the strafers have renovated the nearby mining quarry. I read a concentration of their forces in and around the facility. Also, the seismic activity in the region is off the charts. I'd say this whole town is on a ticking time bomb. Team, head over to the quarry. Meanwhile, we will try to establish a connection with Matthew.
And these environments are also dynamic, so there's multiple parts in the campaign where some big event will happen on screen, and you're actually able to move your character around during it. So there can be weather storms, there can be lightning towers opening up. That's one of the main parts, and a lot of stuff is dynamic in the environments. So that's really nice, because some other games, the environment's just static. You're just walking through it and nothing's changing. So I will say there is a good mix of movie-style cutscenes to animate motion, as well as just during the gameplay something happening. Now, for the assets, you may notice throughout these clips that some of them are reused, but it makes sense in the context of the story because many episodes have you return to the same location, so of course the environment's going to be the same. So I feel like they made good use of what they had, and they didn't try and make a whole new environment for each new episode when it wasn't really needed.
Girls and boys, last time we were so quick to storm this facility that we might have missed some valuable data. I need you to scour the complex once again, but this time more thoroughly. Be sure to send me any data you come across.
I will also say the videos that you watch before some of the missions are really good at setting the stage for the mission, giving you the proper story cues that you need to understand the mission, and the videos they use in the video, the clips, the cinematics are pretty high quality.
We have finally picked up the trail of Keone Jarvella, the only known person to develop antibodies against the crystalline infection. Keone was my patient at Heidelberg until the strafers kidnapped her 3 months ago. Now our intel confirms she is being held in the Tyranian impact zone, and I can only imagine what horrors they're putting her through. We must extract the girl, gently and quickly. Her unique medical case may be our key to the anti-crystalline vaccine, which would save millions of lives. This is our top priority. Find Keone and get her out alive.
Another thing you won't be disappointed with is the voice acting. The voice acting in this game is among the upper echelon of voice acting when it comes to like a single player campaign. Usually you just have one character and maybe like a guide or something. This game has tons of different characters. Each one has their own unique voice. You can tell by their very high quality voice actors. So everything there is just top tier.
Made it. This is Matthew Sullivan.
Matt, is that you?
Karen? Thank God. Hang on, let me stabilize the channel. Right. Karen, your timing is immaculate. Now we have a chance to stop this madness.
Matt, what are you...
Listen to me. This is our chance to finally stop this. Direct your strike.
Matt, do you copy? Matey, can we track his location? Already on it.
And finally, for the good section, we have that the cutscenes are very high quality. You can tell a lot of effort, a lot of CGI, was put into these cutscenes, and they come out very well put together, and they all serve a purpose. There's not one that just doesn't make any sense. They all further the story, they give you crucial information, and they help transition you between doing one objective to the next objective.
If you want to live, stick to the beacons.
And now, unfortunately, we get into some of the bad. So the first thing I noticed was you can only play 6 of the 8 operatives in the game. According to the developers, this is because Malva was overpowered for her healing abilities, and Orbit didn't fit within the lore because he's not technically an immune. He's one of the test subjects that is halting the process of crystalline transformation. But I have a sneaking suspicion that the real reason is because there's only 6 sidearms in the game. So that transitions to my next point, which is that each operative can only use 2 primary weapons and 1 sidearm, and these are both predetermined for the character, and you cannot, switch them out for anything you want. So since there's only 6 sidearms in the game, each sidearm got given to one of the characters, and that left 2 characters without a sidearm. So instead of making new sidearms or reusing the ones they had, they kind of just said, screw it, we'll just get rid of 2 operatives, which I think was, a terrible decision because 2 of your flagship operatives are Malva and Orbit, and now you can't even play them in the campaign. This also means that only 18 of the 27 total guns are available in the campaign because we have 6 operatives, 2 primaries, and 1 sidearm each. That brings you a total of 18. So that means 9 guns are just nowhere to be found. Another misstep, I believe. And as for the gameplay element part of it, there seemed to be a pattern with having 2 sort of things you would do. One would be stand on an objective and defend it from enemies, and one would be walk towards something and shoot enemies along the way. And then there would be a boss fight at the end of most of the missions. So as you can imagine, this became very repetitive over time, and it kind of felt like you were just doing the same thing over and over again. Now I will say there were some different unique parts, such as the one in Bastion where you have to shoot missiles down at the enemies. That was a little bit different, but most of it was either stand still and shoot or run and shoot. My next point is that the intimidating looking bosses at the end of some missions easily died within sometimes even 20 seconds. You would just pull out your gun, shoot them, and before you knew it, they were already dead. So you think you're about to have this really amazing boss fight, and the boss is already dead before you even know what happened.
Ah, damn it. I knew the bastards didn't trust me. They put this guard dog to protect the system from manual override. Karen, will the team handle it?
They've handled much worse. Guys, please don't take too long.
Reloading.
Pathetic wretches! You are a grain of sand against the coming avalanche! Your days outnumbered, Shatterline. Your time is running short. Your praised immunity shall be your... You think you've got the upper hand. My disciples will turn you to dust.
So we talked about operatives, we talked about weapons, we talked about the gameplay, but what about the story? That's what you're all here for anyways. And I will say, I've heard that the story can be hard to follow. The comic book scenes and the briefing missions do help with the story inside of each mission, but the overall story connecting them all doesn't really align. There is some gaps in the information, and for example, like the main antagonist, Hannah Vickers, isn't even introduced until the last mission. So you don't even know who you're fighting against until the very end, so you kind of have to piece together stuff from the Discord and from the videos that you may not even watch or skip over. So I feel like it could do a better job of linking all the missions together. There's also a few smaller things, like the cyborg stilt appears about 10 different times in this short 4 hours of gameplay, whereas some other bosses only appear once. So I don't know why they chose to include a stilt so many times, but it gets very repetitive fighting the same thing over and over again.
Team, it summons charge sprouts from underground. Try to destroy them.
And don't stay in one spot. Move around.
Reload.
And another thing was that your weapons, or any of your progression, tasks, whatever, for the rest of the game, does not progress whatsoever in the single player campaign, which is odd because it is on the server, online, on your account. So I don't know why your weapons wouldn't level up as they do in episodes, but that's just what it is. And now we get to the ugly portions, which are stuff that makes the campaign feel of lower quality and doesn't really live up to the standard that has been set by the visuals and the voice lines and the cutscenes and stuff. So the first thing is the comic book scenes. Some of these are very poorly drawn. They look like AI was used in some form or fashion. And if it was a real artist drawing these, I mean, I don't mean any disrespect, it's better than what I could do. But it just doesn't really align with the quality of the rest of the mission and the cutscenes and the videos and everything else. Another thing that really just ruined the experience for me was constant references to there being groups of 3 people on the mission. So these missions were taken from the episodes playlist, in which you have to play with a party of 3 to begin the mission. So many of the voice lines are structured around there being 3 people when you're on a mission by yourself. So if you didn't play the old episodes, you're just playing this as a single player, you're going to be wondering why it's constantly referencing to 3 people when there's only 1 person. So it really creates a disconnect between what the voice actors and the dialogue is talking about and what you're experiencing on screen.
Team, let's repeat the exercise. Once you activate that generator, we can vent that gas.
Randy, how many generators will it take? Big man 3.
My statistics database says things usually come in 3s. Have you observed this? Comedy comes in 3s. Also, death. And there are 3 of you.
This also connects to when your character would talk to his non-existent second and third teammates, which he's supposed to have, and they're just not there to talk back. So he's basically just talking to the void, nobody's answering him, and you see on screen dialogue that the other teammates are supposed to say, but it just doesn't happen because they're not there.
Guys, I think it's Brandon Phillips.
It was sort of rushed, converting this from 3 people to 1 person, and the voice lines weren't changed properly or enough, and as a result it feels like it was just hastily put together in time for the December 5th release, and some finer details are neglected to be addressed. And for the conversion from episodes to single player, some of the voice lines were taken out, but the dialogue that pops up on screen, the little text captions, were not. So the voice actor is saying something, then they stop, but the previous dialogue captions are still in the game. So it's another example of, we know they took them from 3 players to 1 player, they took some stuff out, they didn't do a very good job at fixing the issues, fixing the transition from 3 people to 1 person, so it creates a kind of misleading experience to where dialogue is on screen, but they're not actually being said.
Oh, Keone. Oh, thank goodness you're alive.
Dr. V? But how? What is going on?
Please, Keone, there is no time for proper introductions. Let's go.
So with all these factors, you can easily tell that it was a port from the 3-player episodes, and if you never played those old episodes, you're going to be feeling like you're missing something, or you should be playing with someone else, but you can't. The final point is that there's just no sort of difficulty slider whatsoever. You have 1 difficulty, it's tuned very low, so it won't be difficult for you at all if you're a normal gamer, or if you've played any kind of game before. So there's no sort of hard mode or extreme mode. You're just not going to find it in this campaign. It's a one-size-fits-all. There's, really no customization, which, a lot of single-player campaigns will have at least an option to turn up the difficulty if you desire. Maybe this will come in a future patch, but as of now, you just have 1 level of difficulty. And as you can imagine, some people will be bored, and some people may find it too difficult if they've never picked up a game before. So with all that said, what can we sort of conclude about this? For the $5 price tag, I would definitely recommend this campaign. It's only about 4 hours long, but you do get, a great experience shooting enemies, running from disasters, your great dialogue, great cutscenes. If you just want to set aside a Saturday, play through the 4-hour campaign, spend your $5 or get a code for free from a streamer, then you will have a great time. On top of that, we are promised at the end of the campaign that more missions will be coming soon, but we have been told in the past that these episodes are very costly to make, as one would imagine, so we don't really know how frequently they'll be released, or even if they'll be there for, it could be years. Think about it, they had 8 years, and this is how many they have so far, so, it may be another few years before we get the next few missions. So I wouldn't buy it based on what's coming in the future, I would buy it based on what it is now, which is the 17 missions you're getting. Regardless, I am excited to see where the story goes next, as the last mission ended on a cliffhanger, and I really wanted it to continue. So with all that being said, I would give the campaign for Shatterline a final score of a 7 out of 10. While it has its flaws, and you can tell that it was somewhat rushed to be converted from 3 players to 1 player, and I wish the objectives were a little bit more varied. I wish there was something more to it. I wish it was a little bit longer, but regardless, you're still going to have tons of fun. It's still going to be a great experience, and I would definitely recommend for the low price of $5, or if you can get it for free from basically anywhere online, as long as you're like a real person and you want to play the game. And on top of that, you get a versus mode, expedition mode, ranked mode, whichever other modes they introduce in the future, you'll be covered for that. And with that, I'll thank you for watching. Let me know your thoughts on the campaign if you've had a chance to play through it in the comment section below. Let's get a conversation started. Maybe some changes will be made based on player feedback. But for now, I hope you enjoyed watching, hope you maybe learned something or found some value in this content, and I'll see you later.